Hello everybody, it is January 13th, 2022. Welcome to another Ask Me Anything for the CrossFit Linchpin private track. Let's get right into it. Great questions have been submitted and we are good. So the first most upvoted was from Todd K, correct? Yes, here we go. Okay, stand by. All right. Todd's question is, in the warm-up, there is typically a choice of row, bike, or run. Aside from the instances where one of these is in the workout, is there ever a preference for one or the other depending upon the movements in the workout, or is it just a matter of getting the heart rate up as well? Fantastic question. And obviously other people thought so as well because it's the most upvoted. So, to give an example of a potential warm-up, maybe like the ones Todd's talking about, maybe the warm-up is 3 rounds, not for time. For 1 to 2 minutes each round, you run, bike, or row. And then there are other things in the warm-up. Could be some hip and back extensions, some squat therapy, whatever it happens to be. And so it will say that, for 1 to 2 minutes, run, bike, or row. And so Todd wants to know, is there a preference on that? Largely, no. Largely, it's completely interchangeable. You can just pick the one based upon your preference. That's the 90% of the time answer right there. And also I give all of those options each time because we are a global community, and when it's summer here in the United States of America, it's winter in Santiago, Chile. And you may not want to go outside for a run, especially if you live near the Andes. So biking or rowing might be a good choice. So it's always nice just to have people have various options based upon what they have going on with their climate, their environment, so on and so forth. And primarily in the warm-up, when we do have that minute or two each round of biking, rowing, or running, the purpose of that particular part of the warm-up is just to get you moving a little bit with no external loading and to just start to get your breathing rate up, your heart rate up a little bit, just to get the blood pumping. That's the primary focus of something like that. And then, as I mentioned, there will obviously be other parts of the warm-up that are most likely more workout or movement specific, depending upon what the workout of the day actually is. If we're snatching that day, you might see the Bergner warm-up in there. But so the running, biking, and rowing is just to kind of get you moving, get the heart rate up, get the blood pumping, and then the Bergner warm-up and some hip and back extensions, for example, those are really specific to what's happening that day. And that's why it is a bit of shooter's choice as to whether you want to run, bike, row, or whatever it happens to be. So you've got some creative freedom there. You could also feel free to embrace the one that you feel you need to work the most on. If you're a beast on the bike, maybe you go out for a jog more often than you happen to hop on the bike. Again, that's your call. I will say, however, that every now and then, depending upon what's in the workout, that will influence which one of those I do. So if the workout has something like some pulling movements in it, deadlifts, cleans, pull-ups, ring muscle-ups, something like that, on that day, I might be more inclined to hop on the rower than I would be the bike or go for a run, because while it's going to get the blood flowing and all those other things, get me breathing, huffing, puffing a bit, it is going to be a nice, is analog the right word that I'm looking for? A nice analog for the movements that are going to happen later on, but, a nice, it resembles nicely what's happening later on in the workout, even though there are other parts of the warm-up that will hit it specifically. But on a day like that, I might be inclined to hit the rower. But other than that, totally shooter's choice. You're good to go. Okay. Next most upvoted question. This is a good one. Very timely. This is from Levi A. regarding approaching Tabata style workouts. So let me scroll down to Levi's question. Okay, here we go. There's a second paragraph that Levi has, but I'm going to read that at the end as one of the shout-outs because it's more of a shout-out. It's very cool, though. Thank you for saying that, Levi. Okay, Levi's question. He says, disclaimer before the question. I know there is no wrong way and fitness will be achieved either way. I'm so glad you said that because it's quite true. But I'm wondering what the programmer, Mr. Sherwood, his intent is for the Tabata workout that happened yesterday on January 12th, 2022, we all just completed. For example, my hang power cleans were 11, 10, 9, 9, 8, 6, 6, 6 for a total of 65 reps. I possibly could have stopped at 7 reps each work interval and maintained that across for a total of 56 reps, but a better score since my lowest round would have been 7 instead of 6. I feel there is no wrong way, but I wonder what your thought is when programming it. Do you expect that the most athletes will shoot for a number they can hold, or do you expect the athlete to pour their heart out, maximum intensity, knowing that they will fall off a cliff? What a fantastic question. So, for anyone who's unfamiliar with it, yesterday's workout, you should go back onto the Linchpin website or Instagram account for January 12th, 2022. I mean, that was a bad deal. That was one of those workouts that I don't think it looked that bad on paper. 95-pound barbell for men, 65-pound barbell for women. Just 4 Tabata intervals. And anyone who's unfamiliar with the Tabata, it's 20 seconds of work, whatever that work happens to be. Hang power cleans, push press pull-ups. 20 seconds of work, and then 10 seconds of rest. You do that 8 times. So that comes out to 4 minutes. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, repeated 8 times. So we did that yesterday. We did a Tabata for hang power cleans, 4 minutes, just like I said. Took a minute rest. A 4-minute Tabata of push press, took a minute rest. A 4-minute Tabata of chest to bar pull-ups, took a minute rest. And then lastly, 4-minute Tabata of front squats. And the way that Tabatas can be scored in various ways. So as I said, there's 8 20-second intervals of work in that 4 minutes. So in that first one, you're doing as many hang power cleans as you can. In that 20 seconds, you rest for 10, blah, blah, blah. So what Levi's saying is, in this particular Tabata, your score is the lowest number of repetitions that you happen to achieve in any of those 8 20-second intervals. That's how this particular Tabata was scored. Not all of them are scored that way. Sometimes it's your total reps. Okay, so that makes a difference. So Levi is saying how he did it yesterday, he started with 11 reps in the first 20-second window, and by the end, his lowest number that he could hold on to was a 6. So his score is a 6. It's the lowest number that he achieved in any one of those windows. If you add up all the reps that he did, there's 65 reps total. Okay? So stick with me on this. So he's saying, should he have done that? Started high, crashed and burned a bit. Lowest rep was 6. Ended with 65 reps total, but his score is 6. Whereas maybe if he tried to hold on to 7s the entire time for all 8 intervals, his score would have been 56. So this is what's interesting. I'm sorry, I know that's a lot of numbers. On the first one, if you count his total reps, they're more. There's 65 total reps. He started high, crashed and burned. But his lowest score was a 6. The other way, had he held on to 7s, he would have got less total reps, 56 compared to 65, but he would have actually scored higher on how this Tabata was particularly scored because his lowest number would have been a 7. So, which is correct? It's basically his question. Start high, see what happens, crash and burn, take what you get, or be strategic and try to pick a number that you think that you can hold all the way across. Fantastic question. Okay. Generally speaking, Levi, you don't want to crash and burn. And then that is my general advice for most workouts. Whether it's this, whether it's Fran, whether it's DT, whether it's heavy deadlifts day, whether it's 6x400 meter repeats, you generally don't want to crash and burn. Now, there's more to it than that. You want to attempt, and that's the key word there. You might fail, but that's okay, because attempt means that you're taking a chance. You want to attempt to hold a number that is challenging but possible. That would be my recommendation. Attempt to hold a number that is challenging, but you think you're going to pull it off. Might be really tough, but you think you can do it. There's that phrase in Linchpin we use all the time, appropriately challenging. We keep coming back to that. That would be my guidance. Pick a number that you think is appropriately challenging. If it's not challenging, well, you missed the mark. It's too easy. If it's way too challenging, then you might not only fall off on the number of reps that you can hold each time, but if you just blast yourself, you might blast yourself to a point that your technique also degrades to a degree that is potentially unsafe. So we don't want you just operating in some sort of totally devastated fashion because of that. So again, appropriately challenging would be what I would keep coming back to. And riding that line of appropriately challenging and doing it well, there's no magic pill for that. It comes with time. It comes with time, knowing your limits on various movements, loadings, time domains, etc. And all of that comes with experience. And that just takes time. So, part of learning is mistakes, and that's okay. And so the workout that you just did, Levi, okay, your lowest was a 6. Had you done something else, it would have been a 7. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, at the end of the day, whoop-de-doo. You pushed yourself forward. You learned about your capacities. You did a bunch of hang power cleans, no matter which way you did it, whether you ended with a 6 or a 7. And you're absolutely right that fitness was achieved. You are completely correct. However, getting back to your question, I would recommend that somebody tries to hold something that they think is really tough but possible the entire time. But like I said, you're not going to learn where that line is without mistakes. And if you go out too hot and you implode a little bit, oh well, that's okay. Fitness was achieved. I promise you that. And you would expect somebody to be able to choose and identify what's going to be that appropriately challenging number who has more experience, right? If somebody's been doing CrossFit for 7 years, they're going to have a much better intuition as to what that appropriately challenging number is than somebody who's been doing CrossFit for 3 months. That's just, again, you can't buy experience. With all the different movements and reps and loadings and time domains and all these different schemes that we do, you just got to do a bunch of them and you'll get that good sense of where your line is. And every now and then you might guess wrong. That's okay, but you'll be pretty darn close. I'll give you an example that everybody will probably get a kick out of, because everybody always enjoys when I tell stories about my wife just beating the stuffing out of me during workouts, which happens all the time. It's the life that I live. So yesterday, my wife Emily, she did the workout first. I was into the baby. She knocked it out. And as I've been very vocal about, she's profoundly fitter than I am. So she does the workout. She comes back in. And then her and the baby come out while I'm in the garage warming up to work out. And I'm getting ready. I'm about to hit the hang power cleans. And I've got my number in my head. Even after 16 plus years of CrossFit, Levi, I've got the number in my head of what I think is a good number. I'm like, all right, 95 pounds on the bar. And I fell into my own trap is what I did, because the barbell's not that heavy. I fell into my own darn trap. All right, 95 pounds, great. My goal, I'm going to hold 10 on the hang power cleans across. That's my goal. And then, luckily, I think to myself, well, Emily already did the workout. I say, hey, out of curiosity, and hang power cleans, by the way, one of her favorite movements. I'm like, hey, by the way, what did you hold on the hang power cleans? And she said 12s. And as soon as she said 12s, I knew that I had made a grave error thinking that I was going to hold 10s. Absolutely not. So I immediately cut my goal number from holding 10s to 7s. When she told me 12s, I said 7s is a great number for me. And if I wind up being a little low, great, but I have a feeling that by the end of the 4 minutes, I will be not shortchanged with 7s. So I started with 7s, and it was 100% the right call. And I'll also tell you this, again, because I think people don't just, I think they get wrapped around the axle too much, right? I will also tell you that I didn't always work for the entire 20 seconds of the Tabata protocol. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest before the next one kicks off. Nope. Sometimes I finish my 7 hang power cleans, let's say at 14 seconds or 15 seconds. I just dropped the bar, took myself 5 or 6 extra seconds rest, knowing that if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't hold on to sevens the entire time. So that's good. It's still just a work-rest interval. When the next Tabata starts, I got to start, but every now and then I didn't go the entire 20 seconds. I would have absolutely crashed and burned for sure. And then on the push press, Emily, even with all of her experience, she picked a goal number that she thought was riding the line, but it was just a bit too high, so she fell off a bit as well. Her goal was to hold 12s on the push press, and I think she fell off by 1 or 2 by the end, and so her score for the end, even though out of those 8 intervals, she might have held 12s for 6 of those intervals, and the last 2 intervals were 10, let's say. Well, sorry, her score on the way that this Tabata was scored is a 10. And she was sad to lose those couple reps, but it's all good. Fitness was achieved, and life goes on. Let's see. So, this same sort of question or same theme, if you will, we could ask on a whole bunch of different workouts. Like, let's say it was a 6x400 meter repeat day. Okay? It's still just a work-rest interval. Longer work, longer rest than a Tabata, but still a work-rest interval. So you could say, all right, because Levi's question was, go as hard as you can to the paint on round 1 and see what happens, or pace it out. Well, you could say 6x400 meter repeat day. Should you attempt to set an absolute lifetime PR on the first 400 meter repeat, and maybe you do that, and you get your best 400 meter run ever by 15 seconds, shave 15 seconds off. But doing that was so head to toe, total body systemic devastation that for the next 5 intervals, each one of them is 10 seconds slower than your normal 400 meter run. Okay, so at the end, when you add everything up, that first 600 was better than average by 15 seconds, but then the next 5 were slower than average by 10 seconds. Well, overall, if you add up all those times, that's going to be a slower total time on 6x400 meter repeats than had you tried to shave just 2 seconds off of each one instead of 15 seconds off the first one. And so now the question becomes, which way is right and which way is wrong? And that is not the right question, if that helps, because there is not a right way or a wrong way. It just depends on what you wanted to do that day. If maybe you've been putting in the work for a really long time and you wanted to actually see what is your lifetime best, I think today's the day. Feeling good, had a great breakfast, got a pep talk, and I'm going to try to just do the best 400 meter run I've ever done in my life. Awesome PR. And you know that that's going to be costly on the next 5 400 meter repeats. Who cares? You're still out there challenging yourself with running, with sprints. Life's good. Fitness was achieved. And of course the others are going to suffer if you just did this lifetime best ever there. That's okay. And you could say the other 5 intervals were now intervals under duress and extra fatigue from what you did to yourself in the first one. There's benefit in taxing yourself that way. So it's not a loss. Or you could do the opposite. Like I just said, feeling good today, and instead of doing 1 like I'm shot out of a cannon, I'm going to try to just shave 2 seconds off each one. And then when I add up the overall times, I'll have a total PR for the workout. That's not right or wrong either. It just depends upon what your goals are. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Fitness was achieved either way. You're outdoing 400 meter repeats. That's the victory. You're out pushing yourself, challenging yourself. That's the victory. And, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. Okay, so what? Not a whole rabbit hole. We'll just put our hand into the rabbit hole, see if the bunny's close. This is the good, whether it's the Tabata score, going out too hot, holding a pace, is it scored with overall reps, is it scored with the lowest number, should I try to PR my first 600 meter run, should I hold back and just do each one a little bit better, and then I get an overall better workout score. Well, that's why these conversations are good, right? Sometimes I feel like half of my job is talking people off a ledge, for lack of a better way to say it. Data's wonderful. I'm well aware of how important and glorious data is, for sure. But everything has two sides. The other side of data, the potentially stressful side of data, is it can make people a little bit crazy and feel like, well, if I did the workout a little bit different, it would have bumped my score, nudged it in this way, and then I would have got a different badge on BTWB or a lightning bolt, and I didn't get the lightning bolt today, and I wonder if I did the workout wrong, or it wasn't a great workout, should I have done it differently? That's the downside of data. That makes people just stress out and go bonkers in a way that is not beneficial. Getting out there, doing the work, challenging yourself, modifying it if needed, scaling if you have to, get the ego out of the way. Victory, victory, victory. You are on the home team for the big win. And if you learned a little something during that workout about reps that you should have held, pace that you should have run, whatever it is, great, fantastic. Make a little note in the notes section in the BTWB app. You'll check that out next time. You'll close your phone, and then you'll walk back into your house or apartment stress-free and not worrying about what happened in the workout. That is what we're looking for. That's winning right there. So, and the difference between getting back to like the Tabata question, and again, I'm glad that Levi said, look, hey, disclaimer, I know that fitness is achieved either way. I'm so happy you said that, truly, because that really is the truth. And in one of the most recent Varied Not Random podcasts that I did with Adrian Bosman, he had some great line that's far more articulate than how I'm going to try to relay it right now. But we were kind of talking about this. I think it's the one we did on, I think it actually might be the most recent one, about garage gym programming. And when you're starting to learn how to program, and sometimes people might be thinking like, this is the only workout that's going to work this day. This is it, not the 500 other things that could have been pretty darn good. And if I don't do it perfectly, it's a swing and a miss, and I didn't get fit. And Adrian had some great line of like, that your physiology as a human being, thank goodness, is nowhere near that delicate. That there was this one perfect square peg that fit into the square hole today, and that's exactly the only thing that would have driven the needle forward for you. And since you did it a little bit different, it was a swing and a miss. Thank goodness that our physiology as human beings is not that precise, and that should allow you to, just enjoy the workout and be good to go. But I'm glad you're asking these questions, because knowledge is power. All right. Last most upvoted question out of the top 3 regarding accessory work from Philip. All right, let me find that. Okay, here it is. Philip says, it's getting harder and harder to do the accessory work. By the end of the main workout, I'm tapped. What does this mean? Am I less fit? Is this a bad omen? Am I going in the wrong direction? Fantastic question. So, let's make sure I got all my stuff here. Random thoughts here. What does this mean? Short answer is, might not mean anything. Might mean literally nothing. Or could mean something. Sorry, I don't mean to talk like a politician and give you both sides there. But there's so many factors that could be going on in any individual's life as to why they feel peppy for a workout, don't feel peppy for a workout, just feel like they're barely dragging their butt into the gym, or they feel great and fired up, feel like they can really smash the accessory work. I feel like I just don't have the energy to do it today. We've listed these before. They're almost countless, from how you slept, not just last night, but the last few nights, the last week. How has your nutrition been? How are all the other countless factors in your life of stress with spouse, stress with children, stress with friends, stress with work projects, stress with if you're going to school, life stress in general. The world is a crazy place right now. Whatever it happens to be, all of these things play into how things go in the gym. All of them do. And some of them might need a tweak, some of them might not. It's going to be really tough to know without just an honest examination of what you have going on in your personal life. But I will tell you this. Here are the things I wrote down so I didn't lose my train of thought. The accessory work, and Philip, I mean this, and I say it, as you well know, if you watch the videos each day on the private track, I always say, here's the accessory work for the day, optional as always. And I truly mean that. Accessory work is optional. And you know what another word for optional is? Unnecessary. Let that sink in for a second. Unnecessary. If it was necessary, that would mean it's mission critical, and without it you will have failure. And then I would not say that the accessory work is optional. I would say it's absolutely mandatory. If you don't do it, your just fitness is going to go in the tank. But it's not. It truly is optional. And originally, what's interesting about this is the private track, for those OGs that have been around for quite some time, the private track originally did not include accessory work. Nope. Period. End of story. Had the warm-up, had the workout. And, people requested accessory work. And I'll be honest with you, I ignored it for a very long time. People's request to add accessory work to it. And I genuinely struggled as to whether or not I should add it. I truly did. And obviously we eventually wound up adding it. And I did that, but I told myself if I do, I'm going to shout it from the mountaintop that it is not necessary, that it is optional. Because adding accessory work, it's a double-edged sword. If somebody... I'm already getting off track from my notes. That's okay. I always have these bullet points I write down to make sure that I don't go down a rabbit hole and forget to say something. I'll glance back at them now to make sure I don't go crazy. But, and I struggle with it because adding it, the benefit of accessory work is if you as an individual are ready for it, okay? Because it's extra volume. It's extra loading. If you push yourself, it's extra intensity. Not everybody needs that, quite frankly, and not everybody will benefit from that. And actually, a lot of people won't. Most of us regular human beings living normal lives with all the other stressors that I just mentioned just need to go into the gym, warm up, look at the workout, remove your ego, scale if you need to, make a good decision, hit it with the intensity that is relative to how you feel that day, cool down, leave the gym injury-free. Win, victory, crushing it, long-term success. That is what the overwhelming majority of us need. If you are ready for the accessory work and can tolerate it, well, there are absolutely benefits to it. Absolutely. You're going to get, it's a great way to break through, plateaus that you might have with a particular lift, with a conditioning element, with some body weight movements. There's going to be extra skills of working on this, the Bergner warm-up, or your lowering muscle-ups, or handstand walk, or some extra gut work, or, some barbell complexes. Like, there's fantastic things there. Some max effort pieces on the bike, working on your strict pull-ups. There's great stuff in the accessory work. But don't be fooled. It's not a laughing matter. Like, it's a good dose of work. So if you're not ready for it, and you have that compulsion, which is one of the things that made me hesitant to ever add it in the first place, because some people, many people actually, they're just drawn in by the more is better. And even if we have multiple podcasts about how it's not better, it's still, people feel like a tractor beam. They just want to do more. And that's not always the case, and that's not always necessary, right? And so if you're not ready for it, and you just feel the compulsion to do it, or you're one of those people that if you see it written down, you feel like you got to do everything that's written down. It gives you it's like a splinter in your brain if you don't. And you're not ready for it, but just do it because it's written there. Well, that's not good. More is not better. And if you are not ready for extra training and extra work and extra skill sessions, then you will have retrograde performance beyond a shadow of a doubt because you don't need it. And so you have to be cautious with that. And so I always tell people, if you are interested in doing the accessory work, by all means, give it a try, but in the same way that you would recommend a new person look at the workout of the day, you would tell them to scale it, right? Loading, reps, time, whatever it happens to be. Well, that's what I would say to somebody looking to maybe do the accessory work. Don't feel it like you need to do it all, and all the loading and all the rep and all the whatever. If let's say that the accessory work is, part of it is 4 sets of strict pull-ups, maybe just start with 2 sets. And if there's another piece in the accessory work, maybe it's 100 GHD sit-ups. Maybe don't do 100 GHD sit-ups. Maybe do 50. And so you cut both of it in half. And maybe don't feel the need to just rip it with a ton of intensity. Do it moderately. And the next day, if you're going to play with the accessory work, cut it in half again. And maybe don't do it 5 days a week. Maybe do it 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And then you have to honestly see, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're not recovering? Do you feel tired? How's your mental state? Are you still fired up and looking forward to going into the gym? Or is it now a little bit tougher to drag yourself in there? No two people are going to respond the same. And that's why an honest assessment of yourself is absolutely mission critical. And some people will have the positive side, and some people may be like, oof, yeah, actually, I don't need that. Workout of the day and I'm good. Or maybe you can pick and choose the accessory work. If you're already a barbell ninja, then when there's barbell stuff in it, maybe just go home. You're good. But you know that you struggle with muscle ups, and you see low ring muscle up technique practice as part of the optional accessory work. Well, maybe that's a good day for you to do the accessory work there. Or there's some conditioning intervals in there, and you struggle with your conditioning, so you're gonna, because you're a barbell ninja, well, you're gonna hit the conditioning ones. Or vice versa, you're a body weight master, and you see that the accessory work is, some dumbbell box step ups or Bulgarian split squats, and you know that you need to strengthen your lower body a little bit more than the average bear, compared to how capable and competent you are with the body weight movements. Well, that might be a good day for you to do that, but you don't necessarily need to do it every darn day. And what you really need to do, not to beat a dead horse, is see how it treats you. Don't feel the need to do it all. Don't feel the need to do any of it. But if you do, modify it, scale it, see how it feels, and then, if so, gently build up from there. And then the other question could be, do it before the workout or do it after the workout? And there really is no one singular answer. There is no right way. That's what I should say. There's a right way for you, but there is no right way. But what I would have in the back of your mind when making that call for yourself is, please keep in mind that intensity, not volume, generally speaking, right? We do a whole show on that, which we have, but generally speaking, it's an oversimplification. Intensity, not volume, wins the day and drives the needle forward. So if you're doing the workout of the day, the workout of the day, the primary workout, that should be your main course. That should be what gets the lion's share of your attention, your effort, your enthusiasm, your energy, your strength, and all of that. So if you do something before the workout that is rather taxing, and then that leads to you putting forth a mediocre effort in the workout of the day, then it would be my honest opinion that you're not doing yourself any favors. Pour your heart and soul into the workout of the day. And then if after that you feel like doing the accessory work, great. Maybe you need to rest 10 or 15 minutes, cool down, ride the bike a little bit. Then you're like, okay, especially after something like yesterday with that Tabata workout. Most people probably didn't feel like doing any accessory work, 90 seconds after that Tabata workout finished. But if you gave yourself 10 or 15 minutes of gently pedaling the bike, all of a sudden you might be like, okay, yeah, I could work on A, B, or C, whatever it happens to be. And so it might be a day-by-day thing as well. And I know that some people that do the accessory work regularly, they might pick and choose a little bit as to what they do before or after. Maybe if it's a barbell, one of the Linchpin barbell complexes, and they're going to try to push it a little bit that day, well, maybe they do it when they're fresh and they do it before. If it's something else, maybe they do it after. Again, it's what works best for you, but remember, intensity, not volume, wins the day. And remember, whatever allows you to put your best effort into the workout of the day, that will be my overall general guidance to you. All right, let me look at my notes real quick and make sure I didn't forget anything. No, I think I actually somehow covered it. So that's it. Okay. Great questions today. Great questions as always. And let's see. All right, Levi. Well, I've got the 3 Linchpin shoutouts we're going to get right now. Oh, I said this at the beginning just to the Linchpin community in the private Facebook group, but I'll kind of say it at the end here before I get into the shoutouts, because that first part gets cut out when I make this into the podcast. Is we're living in crazy times, right? With what's happening with just CrossFit in general. It's crazy times. There's always something new popping up every day, some new crisis, whatever. And the landscape is wildly changed. It is what it is. I just want you to know that no matter what, you can count on me and Linchpin. I don't care if we're the last bastion and refuge of truth in fitness. I will shoot you straight. I don't have any corporate sponsors to keep happy. I don't have a shoe brand that I have to get behind. I don't have whatever it happens to be. I can shoot you straight, and I will continue. You have my absolute heartfelt promise on that. When you go to CrossFit Linchpin, go to the private track, we answer these questions, I will give you everything I can to tell you the truth so that you have the best experience possible. And it's wonderful that I don't have to worry about keeping any corporate sponsors or board of directors happy. That allows me to be truly just independent. And that's a blessing these days, and it's shockingly rare. And I likened it, and I dated myself a little bit, I likened it to the Consumer Reports magazine, and now it's a website, obviously, but the greatest thing about Consumer Reports was, right, that they could evaluate Ford, Chevy, Toyota, and tell you which one was great, which one sucked, and they didn't care if they ruffled the feathers of one of those car companies, because those car companies didn't pay their bills. Their subscribers did, and so they could just be really honest. And that's exactly what, I don't know if it was intentional or not, luckily it just worked out, what we have going on here at Linchpin is I don't have to worry about those corporate sponsors. The community is what serves me, and I serve the community, and round we go. And it's a wonderful symbiotic relationship that ideally will keep all of us focused on what works, getting the noise out of the picture, embracing the truth, sniffing out the lies, and having long-term health and fitness. So that's what we've done since day one at Linchpin, and you have my promise that we will continue to do that. All right, so Linchpin shoutouts at the end here. The first one is very cool. It's actually the second half of Levi's question. And Levi says, on a side note, outside of fitness, thank you for the mindset that the clock is not the most important thing, and to keep in mind what is actually important. With my wife down with COVID, my girls have been testing nap time and bedtime, often interrupting my workouts. And because your mindset and the times you've told us about, fixing your son's bike chain or stopping the watch because your son wants to show you a basketball shot or something, it's able to help Levi maintain his cool and not get frustrated with interruptions. You provide so much more than just fitness here, and it's very appreciated. Levi, that's awesome. And don't get me wrong, I'm only able to have those insights because I've made those mistakes. I've made all those mistakes, and I just took stock, looked backwards, and I wasn't happy looking backwards, and so that luckily allowed me to try to make better decisions moving forward. So anyway, very cool. All right, next shout out, entitled Scaling on the Fly, from Amy B. And this is a particular workout. She says, started with 20-pound dumbbells, and I realized quickly that that was not happening. So I switched to 15s, and after the third round was worried that I wasn't going to make it, so I switched to the 20-pounders for round 4. All good, fitness was achieved. So again, it's okay if even after the workout starts, so you might make a decision before the workout, right? Like, okay, I warmed up, this is how I feel. Ooh, the workout calls for, whatever, 35-pound dumbbells. That's no good. I'm going to go with a pair of 20s. Good to go. Then the workout starts. And somewhere in the workout you realize, ooh, I'm struggling, which is good. You want some struggle, right? You want the system to get an adaptation. You want to stress the system. But then there's too much struggle. And if you identify that it's too much struggle and you should have scaled more, who cares? Stop in the middle of the workout. The clock continues to run. Whoop-de-doo. And change the weights if need be, and then drive right on. So the fact that Amy was cool with doing that absolutely warms my heart. That's awesome. That's kind of what we're going for here. Good decisions for the long run. All right, final one. This is entitled One Workout a Day Works, which is actually cool. Gets back to the question we had there about accessory work. This is from Mike T. He says, did a virtual throwdown for a friend's gym they put on. I think it was based off of CrossFit main site workout. I was the newest of all of them with anything to do by CrossFit by at least 2 years, and I finished 6th out of 21 people. Thanks, CrossFit Linchpin, for making me look good. Really cool. That's a super cool shout out there. And like I said, one workout a day with intensity, with scaling if needed, it does wonders. If you are ready for accessory work, you want accessory work, there's tremendous benefit to be had there. But please know that it really is, hook me up to a lie detector, polygraph. It is optional. It really is optional. Feel no pressure to do it. Okay. Linchpin community, keep being awesome. And I'm going to enjoy my rest day today. Talk to you later.